welcome to Happy Holidays, Happy Wallets, and Planning for Affordable Holidays. My name is Kyle Icino. I will be the MC today. I'm joined by two of my colleagues, Levon and Kevin, who will introduce themselves in just a little bit. The three of us, we are part of American Consumer Credit Counseling. We're located right outside of Auburndale, Massachusetts. We're a nonprofit agency, been around for now over 30 years. And it's kind of fitting that today we're talking about holiday planning when in just a few short weeks, my 13th anniversary is coming up on Halloween. So this is fitting.
Happy anniversary.
Definitely fitting. Thank you. Never forget coming in for orientation and I see witches and zombies and things of that nature. All right. So as I mentioned, we are a nonprofit organization. Our mission is really to empower consumers to regain control over the quality of their life through financial education, counseling, and debt management. My colleagues here, Levon and Kevin, are both counselors. I was a counselor myself for many years, and now I have moved to more of an admin position. We're kind of a one-stop shop here. We provide free and confidential financial assessments. We do debt management plans. We help with pre and post bankruptcy counseling courses, and we even have a housing department as well that can help with reverse mortgage counseling. So enough about me. I'm going to pass it off to my buddies Kevin and Levon so they can introduce themselves and rock and roll with you guys. Kevin, take it away.
Hi, my name is Kevin D. Almeida. As Kyle said, I am one of the counselors. I also do specialize in the back end. So after the enrollment, after going through everything, once the program has gone forward, if you have any questions about your account, creditors, specific things that come up, I'm one of the people that help out to give you that information and so that you understand every step of the way where you're currently at and where we're trying to get to at the end of everything. LeBlanc?
Thanks, Kevin. Yeah, my name is Levon Henzatian. This is my third year at American Consumer Credit Counseling. I'm a credit counselor. I'm more of the debt management side. What would be the front end? Kevin was talking about some of the back end. So people call us up, and they're usually, way in over the head as far as primarily credit card debt. We'll go through a session with them. We'll create a nice, realistic budget with them, and then we'll go through all the different options that are out there. We have an option too called the Debt Manager Program, which I'm not going to get into right now. Yeah, so we go through all the options, and we basically go wherever the numbers lead us. And I was really interested in this particular webinar when I saw it, the holidays and whatnot, because for me, it kind of runs the gamut. I've experienced all kinds of holidays, all the way from the very good to almost like the Hallmark version. I did propose to my wife 22 years ago, right after Christmas, right before New Year. So it's a happy occasion. And then all the way to the other side, the Clark Griswold side of it, where we had a Thanksgiving where one Thanksgiving about 10 years ago, Kevin, what ended up happening was the lights went out in the dining room, one light in the kitchen, and the stove. On Thanksgiving, the stove was out, and everybody was expecting us to cook the turkey. So it was crazy. It was quite a crazy Thanksgiving. It was horrible at the time. Looking back, it's a nice, funny story. If you guys out there, any of the attendees, if you guys have any stories like that, put them in the chat. Love to hear it. Because, like I said, and now it is a funny story, which we can we can look back now and kind of laugh at it. So off we go. As you know, as we were talking about, the holidays are upon us, and there we go. That's a nice transition to the next screen. Hold on to your hats and your wallets. Now, some of these holidays that are showing up, these are the major ones that we're going to be talking about as far as like that we celebrate here in the U.S. I mean, there are some other ones too. I think Diwali is a major one. Happens around Halloween. I think they call it the Festival of Lights. I think there's also some gift giving around that time too. But what we're going to be talking about, and there's some Muslim holidays around March and whatnot. What we're going to be talking about is really the principles are all the same for the gift giving holidays and just the stress that kind of comes with them, which I'm going to be talking about next. I'm going to show you some very stressful numbers coming up when we talk about these holidays. The number right there in the middle, that $1,000 grand total, that is, as you see, just for the December holidays. That doesn't even include the Thanksgivings and the Halloween and the travel, of course. There's a lot of money involved in that. Hotels, maybe going back home, driving and everything, planes, trains, and automobiles. We all love that movie. That's become a Thanksgiving tradition for me and my family to kind of watch that. So that's kind of what we're going to be getting into. And here's what's going to be happening as far as the agenda for today. We're going to start off talking about the stress. Now, the stress that comes with the holidays, the obvious one is the financial stress, but that can also lead to mental stress as well, which can also lead to physical stress. Once we get the financial and the mental going on, so it can, some tips with maybe dealing with that, reviewing your budget and starting that holiday list. That's it's very key to start as soon as you can. Maybe some tips to avoid that stressful shopping by starting early. And then kind of shifting the holiday mindset. Kevin's going to get into this a little bit more as far as like getting back to really the roots of each of the holidays, because the roots of all the holidays we're talking about, they're not commercial. We kind of made them commercial, but maybe getting back to the spirit of the original holidays as well. And of course, the nitty-gritty of setting some funds aside, the budgetary, the money aspect of it, and tracking some of all that spending. So at this point, I am going to throw it on over to Kevin. That's a shout out to my other favorite Christmas holiday, the movie, the Home Alone. And I'm not going to get into the whole controversy of Die Hard, whether that's a Christmas movie or not. That's a whole webinar for another day.
That's a
Take it
whole,
away,
yeah,
Kevin.
that's one of the next webinars. So starting off, without the controversy is going to be the budget review itself. So this is where we want to start everything before we even get to the actual holidays, get to the actual meat and potatoes of the payments and everything. We have to take care of everything else first. Basic needs, stuff like housing, food, transportation, childcare, medicine. This is where the flow of the income goes. This is top priority. These basic needs, that's what you want covered first. From there, there is going to be the other debt that's going to be taken into account. So stuff like the car payment, credit cards, loans, unsecured loans, secured loans, things like that, those things that you do need to know what you owe and plan accordingly to make sure that you do get in front of those and not start falling behind and being like, oh, is this paid or is this paid? How those things are going. Thirdly, after those two, is have a plan for savings. So this is where the holidays will come in as well. But being able to plan for the gamut, as Levon said earlier, knowing that you're going to have all of these gifts, food, travel, expenses, spread it out instead of having to, put it all on one paycheck or a couple paychecks at the end of the year to be able to catch up to everything. We want to be able to have a savings plan going throughout it so that once you get to this point and you come to the holidays, you're not really stressing out over, oh, do I have enough money to pay for this? It's more of, do I want to use, we'll talk about this later too. Do I want to put this on the credit card to get points, or do I want to just pay with cash and not have to worry about it? After all of those, you got through the basic needs, that payment plan, savings plan. Lastly, this is where all the other expenses are. So once you've set everything up with those first three, this is what I like to call stress-free money. Eating out, subscriptions, entertainment, clothing, donations, personal care, things like that. This is all up to you. This is the reward you get for being able to pay or to set everything aside that you need to, take care of everything that you need to, and this money you can spend whichever way you would want. But this is also where if you feel like your budget is a little bit skewed one way or the other, this is where we would recommend starting out to slim down and be able to afford the other three steps because those are the most important ones. Yep. And so like we talked about, prioritize, know what you owe, holidays, cut back or cut out for the all of the other expenses.
Yeah, and the first two are key before we even think about the third one. So go ahead, Kevin.
Exactly. So types of expenses that there are, we got three major ones. You got your fixed expenses. These are ones that don't change. So stuff if you have a car loan, rent, mortgage, these type of things that come up every month and you know roughly very close to what it's going to be. And you have to pay that every month. Those ones you do know. More easier to plan and budget around because you already know what you're getting yourself into month to month. Variable expenses, these are things that you do and buy regularly, but there's no fixed price. Stuff like gas, groceries, utility bills. If you're in the Northeast, winter's coming up, so that's going to be very variable comparatively to summer. And everywhere in the US, there are differing prices going up and down for electricity all the time, depending on which form that you use. This is more challenging to budget for the reasons we just talked about, but you can estimate the cost and get a good rough idea to know how much you should be setting aside for these months. It's harder than fixed expenses, but there's still, you still have a possibility to do that. Lastly, though, is going to be those periodic expenses, and this is where the holidays come in. These are irregular expenses as well. So, car inspection, maintenance, you don't do those all the time, but they do pop up every once in a while. Birthdays and other events, you want to make sure that they're memorable and good experiences for everyone involved. And the holidays. These aren't part of the monthly budget, but if they're not in the savings, they can't go on the credit cards, and that's where things can start getting into trouble. And that's when you inevitably end up having to, go through us to see what's going on. But those are the three types of expenses. Now, we talked about earlier in terms of if you feel like it's getting overwhelming, there is a slimming. The slimming down is what we talked about earlier in terms of those other expenses, but also with the food and things like that. So eating smarter, streaming and subscriptions, looking at your statements for where you pay your subscriptions to know how much is going where. That's usually a good one. Transportation and utilities, figuring out ways that you can look into to be able to tighten the spending, to be able to loosen it up for the holidays, Halloween, Thanksgiving, December, as an example.
And Kevin, I will say too, whenever I go through my counseling sessions, the first place that people look at to make those cuts are when you said eating smarter, eating out is always like the first, because that's 100% in your control. And sometimes people will say, well, I don't really do anything. And then they'll tell me that they get a cup of coffee a day. A cup of coffee a day, when you do the numbers, $5 a day, 5 days during the week, you're talking $108 a month. So it does add up pretty quickly.
It does add up very quickly, yeah. And especially like the transportation as well, the gas and how often you are going out and coming back on the car, like you said, going out to get the coffee or anything like that, being able to at least have an idea of how much you spend on the gas or tighten it up and give it a budget will also help as well. And then these are all categories or things that we don't really keep an eye on for all of them at the same time, but these are things to take into account, especially going into the holidays. So gifts, holiday decor, gift wrapping, food items, entertainment, shipping costs for all the gifts that we get and we order, and the big one, holiday travel as well. So we'll go over them in a little bit more detail
Thanks,
as
Kevin. All
well.
right, let's start drilling down a little bit more into all this. We'll start with, of course, the stress shopping, and we avoid that by starting early. It can be very stressful because there's a lot of pressure on folks to get the best thing, the most up to date thing, and then if you don't find it, you're in trouble with the kids or something. Kevin, easy example for me. A couple years ago, PlayStation 5. Everybody had to have it. I couldn't find it anywhere. And
Yep.
I think what's even worse was a couple of my son's friends in his circle actually got it, and that was even worse. He's like, "Well, Joe got it. How come we can't get it? Well, why can't we get it?" And I would have. It would have been better if nobody could find it anywhere.
Yeah.
So that was always a big one. And again, there's this idea of scarcity anxiety, which comes up a lot too, that you can't find it at times. And also the thing was, years ago, it used to be a much bigger deal for the whole Black Friday thing the day after Thanksgiving, as far as like some of the deals that the retailers were putting on, and then after that, the Cyber Monday, buy everything online, you get some good discounts and whatnot. That's kind of blended out like throughout the whole season now. I think we're definitely finding that because retailers, a lot of them, things are tight, margins are tight. They're always cutting back, trying to give you the best deals. So those deals are spread out, and of course, Cyber Monday now has become Cyber every day. I mean, I'm getting emails now. Look into this, look into that. This is like 50% off, whatever. But you do have to be very careful, and you got to start early, start now. As
Amazon
far as
Prime
like
Day, I believe, is coming up
which day?
October. I think Amazon Prime is 8th or 9th. those are usually good days as well. And as someone who used to work in retail,
Mhm.
Black Friday deals, they're not as good as you think they are.
Right, right. And the reason for that is, again, if you do your research and you kind of look at really pinpoint some of the things that some of the popular things that your kids want or other family members or friends, you'll find that a lot of times what retailers will do is they'll boost up the prices first, and then they'll say that, there's a deal like 50% off. But if you're not looking at to seeing researching these prices to see what's really going on, you think it's a great deal. It might not be that great a deal, and that you can even wait on that. It's totally up to you as far as like how you want it. So you do have to kind of watch out for that and start now. Just pinpoint again, make a list, check it twice, just like Santa does, and start shopping now for some of those big deals. Which again is the next thing we're going to be talking about as far as like planning early. Make that list, keep it handy. That's another key. I get into trouble with this with my grocery list all the time. I make that grocery list and then I don't bring it with me. So what good is any of that? So keep it on your phone, keep it wherever you're going to do. Just keep it handy so it's always with you. And like I was saying before, check online, consumer reports, whatever. What are good deals? What's good value as well. Something might be cheap, that old saying, you pay what you get what you pay for. So you might want to not get the cheapest thing, and of course, keep track of all that. Inventory what you have. You'd be surprised. I mean, I sometimes surprise myself with some of the stuff that we have in the house that we've never used. For those folks who are married and they might have had like showers, wedding showers, things like that. There's stuff that my wife finds in our storage room that's unopened, like vases and things like that. Am I saying that right? Is it vase or vase? Which one do you go by, Kevin?
I go by base, but I
Vase.
know
Okay,
that.
we're gonna go with vase. They're like beautiful vases in there, which she and let's. I'm not gonna mince words. It is regifting, but it's to like acquaintances and things like that that you're not that close to. She does take advantage of that. I'm glad she does, and not because I don't know what's out there. I kind of know what we have there, but I don't know exactly what's appropriate. So she does all that. Consider gently used items, thrift stores, like we said before. There's a lot of free stuff out there too, with the Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist. I'm on a couple of different Facebook groups where like towns in my area will offer free stuff, and I haven't taken advantage of it yet. But when I do see them, I kind of think to myself, wow, if I was in the market for this looks pretty good. When you say gently used, some of these like are just not used for whatever reason, and sometimes they'll put in there what the reason was. Maybe it just whoever they got it for, it was just inappropriate or something, and I don't know. They didn't have the time to return it, and they just want to get rid of it. You'd be surprised at what you find. A lot of good deals out there, coupons, credit card points. I remember when we were talking about this initially, Kevin, you were talking about having a specific drawer for all those gift cards, which is a great idea because mine are all over the place. I've got some in my wallet. I've got some in the office. They're kind of like all
Yep.
over the place and scattered. Go ahead. Did you want to say
No,
something?
no, it's just it's something that helped me out too. Like you said, I'm also when it comes to these cards are very scatterbrained. So
Hmm.
the idea is that, and it doesn't have to be like, oh, I have to go find them all and put them in a drawer now. Just from now on, having just a drawer that you can put all your cards in and just be like, okay, well, I know for a fact that I'm going to have a gift card or two gift cards in that drawer that I can
Hmm.
pull out and just see whether or not it's there. And when it's used, you can go ahead and toss it, and then if there's more gift cards, you can always add it in later.
Yeah, I'm going to start doing that. That's a great idea to just keep it all in one place. That's fantastic. And now we're going to kick it back off. I'm not going to do the Kevin thing every time.
All right. Thank you, Levon.
You're welcome.
So now we're just going to we've talked about the ways that we go about it, avoiding the stress shopping by starting early, cutting back, those things. But now we want to talk about the goals themselves when it comes to the holidays and some alternatives that can come along with it. So, firstly, is the idea that less is more, especially, and Levon, I'm sure I think we've talked about this before, is the idea of if you have so many gifts, you may have put very much thought into all of them, and you hand it over to whoever it is, and they're open up present after present, and all of a sudden now they're on their fifth present. They're like, "Oh, really? Thank you," and then they put it to the side. It's not necessarily they don't care for the present, and you've put a lot of thought into it. It's just that there's so much that it can really start being a little bit more difficult to empathize with every single gift, to be able to go along with the thought that goes behind it.
Yeah,
Secondly,
definitely. Oh, go
yep,
ahead.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that we celebrate Christmas, and one tradition that we have in our family is Christmas Eve. Everybody gets to get one thing from the stocking stuffer. You put your hand in, whatever comes out, and then one gift is to be given to one person, and the gift giver chooses which one it is. It's never the best one, obviously, because we want to
Okay.
save that for the big day. But yeah, we've been doing that for many years now, kind of spreading it out a little bit.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier for a lot less, a lot more amenable, especially when it comes to the Christmas day. Because, like we talked in the second part, fewer gifts just also equal less clutter. It's less things that you have to clean up after, excuse me, on the day of Christmas. Like you talked about, if you already opened one gift, that's one less wrapper that you have to worry about at the end of the time. And so that's just pretty much that. And then also it can also just be overstimulating for a lot of people, and can cause meltdowns or just overall not be a good experience for everyone involved, including the one who's receiving the gift. To go off of a little bit more on the general topic, one of my favorite memories when I was younger, especially going off this theme, where you don't, not every gift, or not all the fact that you spend so many gifts on one person is really what they remember. I remember when I was younger, I don't remember specifically the gift that I got, but I do remember the one time where my entire family got together and we ended up singing along and playing along to "Living on a Prayer" by Bon Jovi on one of the games that one of my nephews had gotten. So I don't remember most of the gifts I got. That doesn't mean I didn't care for it, but that was one of the things that stuck around to me the most, especially.
And the beautiful thing is that's going to stick around with you the rest of your life, basically. And that's
Yeah.
really what it's all about. And getting back to this whole idea of less gifts and whatnot, I'm always intrigued by the Jewish tradition of Hanukkah, where every day you got 8 days, and every day you get a gift. If there are any folks who celebrate that holiday, if they want to put something in the chat as far as like what you do, I've always wondered, is it the exact type of gift every day, and then you lead up to a big one on the 8th? Or is it the exact same thing, or is there a theme? I've always kind of like wondered about that. If any guys can help us out, that'd be great. And thank you, Felicity, for that. You were saying some of these tips are good. These are some good tips that Kevin was giving us.
Appreciate that, Levon. Um, And then, secondly, we won't go over everything, but I'll give brief overview for these, like for the categories. Gifts, alternatives to just getting a bunch of gifts for a bunch of people. The idea can also be like gift swapping, Secret Santa, things like that. Very targeted, very specific to each person. That way, it's better altogether. And also non-physical items. If you have someone who's very interested in science, astronomy, the Museum of Science pass, or art museum passes, depending on where the interests lie on the person that you're getting the gifts for, those could be just as meaningful for them. In terms of gift wrapping, gift bags instead of gift wrap. Levon, I remember you saying that you would go to, I believe it was CVS, or you would go to a store and you would buy bows and you would come home and then your wife would be like, "But we have an entire drawer or entire bag full of these bows. Why do you keep getting some more of them?"
I did have a bad stretch of about 2 or 3 years where I was doing, I don't know what came over me. I would see the bag, I'm like, oh, bows, I think we're going to need that. And then I would get it and take it home. And my wife would yell at me like, again, you got bows again? Because I think a lot of people do this, and we've been doing this for years. The first thing that gets cleaned up and put away after all the gift wrapping and everything is the bows. Everybody saves the bows. So
Yeah.
we have so many bows in that drawer, and I don't know what came over me. I don't do that anymore. I have stopped that.
Hey, you learned your lesson. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the next portion is going to be the holiday decor and the attire. Once again, there's stuff like looking into the thrift stores for decor and costume ideas, reusing them each year, being more creative when it comes to how you go about getting your costumes or decorating your house, decorating your living room, and things like that. Food items, buy in bulk, buy cheap. One good thing that was also brought out was having the host make the main dish and then having guests bring sides and everything else that go alongside it. That way, the host doesn't have to worry about if the sides are always going to be there, if who's going to like the sides and things like that. At the very least, they can take that stress away, and then the guests can also always bring something that they like, so that no matter what, they always will be able to get a side and other things as well. Considering making homemade treats rather than buying for entertainment and events, family photos, any events or anything like that. Again, going back to the whole experiences versus just gift giving, that could be just as memorable and just as exciting for everyone involved as the actual gift that they are receiving.
I did want to add one thing about the events and the family sponsored events, things like that. One of the best parties that we had gone to was a gingerbread house making party, where we were invited over. It was a coworker of my wife's, and there was like 15 kids, and they had everything all set for them, all the setup for the gingerbread houses. They had a great time just making gingerbread houses, taking the pictures, then of course eating them and stuff like all the extra candy. So that was a fun one. That was a
Yeah,
good one.
absolutely. Those memories will stick, like you said earlier. Those memories are the ones that generally end up sticking the
Absolutely,
most as well.
absolutely.
For holiday travel, we touched upon this before, but also using credit card travel points, knowing what your credit card percentages are and things like that. And also just taking into account when you're getting your flights, when you're going out, carpooling when possible, and that way you can at least accommodate for, if not know what your travel costs are going to be and how much you need to save up beforehand. Um, Lastly is the shipping costs for the gifts given and ordered. Stuff like Amazon Prime, like we touched on earlier, I believe Amazon Prime Day this year is the 8th and the 9th. So there's going to be a lot of good deals on there. Larger orders typically will ship free depending on where you are in the US. And one key thing, especially from someone who, again, I worked in retail for a large portion of my life. If you are going to be sending gifts, if you're not going to be the one who's giving them, but you are sending them through USPS, UPS, FedEx, or however it is you're doing, try to do so prior to Halloween or set it up for prior to Halloween. Once the holiday rush comes in, 2 days shipping becomes a minimum of 5 days shipping, and it gets a lot more stressful making sure that it gets there before the time that's allotted or the time that you want it to be there, even if it's supposed to be a surprise as well. And also, lastly, like holiday emails as well, rather than mailing the holiday cards. That way, there's no stamps. USPS, again, like we talked about earlier, it can be a very stressful time for everyone in the shipping industry as well.
Yeah, the holiday emails. I mean, they're cute with the cartoons coming up and whatnot. And again, you don't have to send everybody a gift card, handwritten. Although those are beautiful. But yeah, some people just they like the little email coming up with a poof it comes up and whatever.
Absolutely, like the little gifts that come out. It's pretty nice. I go to CVS sometimes and just see the little
Quick question, Kevin. So
yep,
the Prime, Amazon Prime, 8th and the 9th of which month? October?
October. Yep.
October. Okay.
Amazon Prime's reading our minds. They want everyone to
Hmm.
start buying their stuff
Yep.
now so that they don't have to worry about clogged shipping come November, December.
Hmm.
Um, and then we have the wish list. Now, this is a lot. The idea behind it is this is a sheet of an idea of what you can get for kids. So, what they want, what they need, what they wear, and what they read. We do have a simplified worksheet of this that we are going to be sending out as well. So you don't have to worry about writing everything down. But examples are of like for want, like big ticket items and making sure it's like one big gift for child, something that they need if they're doing any sports, hobbies, or anything that they need to going forward, clothing, books, subscriptions, and things like that. Something to do and something for the family. So being able to structure everything around, at the very least, knowing that they're going to get one of these things or a number of these things can really help wrap the head around, okay, this is how much we're going to do for everyone. That way we don't have to worry about anyone being left out.
I just want to touch upon something on the something to do category. Here in, as Kyle said, we're based in Massachusetts. Me and Kevin are in Massachusetts. A big tradition here is, Boston Ballet puts on the Nutcracker. That's always a big one. We've gone to that a couple times now. My son's liked it every time. We're not going to take him again. He's 17 years old. I don't think he'd like it now. But that's a big one locally. If you guys, I know this is going out throughout the whole country. If you guys have any local traditions where you live, that's a big one for the holiday season. I'd love to hear about it. What goes on in like San Diego or something like that, or any local things in Katy, Texas, or whatever. If I'm ever out there, to take them in or something like that.
Yeah. And Levon, like you talked about earlier, it's this idea that the holidays have become very commercialized, but we want to get back to the roots. At the end of the day, yes, is it saving money? It's going to be an inevitable byproduct. But really, it doesn't have to diminish the experience for everyone involved. Having the shared celebrations, having these different ideas of the experience itself being the gift almost, um, will stick around longer for everyone involved, than the one thing that you got them that was flavor of the month that specific year. And also, it doesn't have to just be for the holidays. You can have those going out, like you talked about the Nutcracker. You can also have the museum trips go out for either their birthday or further down in the year. That way, you always have something to look forward to for experience
Hmm.
wise with your family or whoever it is that you're sharing these these holidays with. So the idea that you are putting an emphasis on what's most important to these holidays, not necessarily the gifts, but showing the appreciation that you have for everyone involved in your life, as well.
And you're talking about the holidays, kind of giving again and again throughout the year. Melissa had a good one in the chat, the Boston Pops holiday. I remember one year, Melissa, that the Boston Pops was playing the music. Remember, I did the Home Alone before. They were showing Home Alone um, on the screen, and the actual Boston Pops was doing all the music. It was the coolest thing ever. Thanks for bringing that up. And here in Philly, who we got here? Marlene is saying we have
Big
the big
Macy's
Macy's
store.
store located in the center of city. It has a Christmas. Oh, that's awesome. That'd be good.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to be going to Philly for Columbus Day that weekend.
Hey, good for you.
Yeah. So
That's awesome.
let me know about if anything's going around Columbus Day weekend. Thanks.
It just to interject real guy because I agree with the shared experiences. I have an 8-year old. We still will leave in the jolly fat guy. So he's looking forward to seeing Santa, writing the letter, and for I would say for low cost family experiences, check out your local libraries and things of that nature because they either have free passes. I know my library, in Worcester, Massachusetts, Santa visits every year. They have this big event where you can write letters to Santa and all this stuff. So there's all these things, and those are the things that, like, right now my 8-year-old kid's excited for, that he remembers last year. And if I were to ask him, like, hey, do you remember what you got last year from Santa? He'd be like, I don't know, a robot thing. So I agree wholeheartedly. Shared experiences are key.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thank you, Kyle. And again, the same idea with this concept. This is just for the adults, and how you can go about the gift giving idea or just the experience idea. So, like, if you have a family, Secret Santa, um, family pajamas, stocking stuffers, and things like that. Friend doing white elephants. So, just different ideas how to give gifts, colleagues, handmade items as well can be just as good, and express the appreciation that you have for everyone involved. And for like same thing for teachers or anybody else. I know we've talked to a couple of people beforehand where they were teachers, and one of the things that they remember the most or that they cherish the most are those letters that they got from the students or the parents or anything and people surrounding them. And those are the things that they remember. Like, yes, they'll have a bunch of the number one teacher mugs and everything, but the things that they really also love to see is those little letters that show just show the thought and effort that everyone put into it, not just the gift that was given as well, for that.
I just want to tag off on the teachers too. One thing to remember about teachers. Now, it's very easy when your kids are, Kyle's age in elementary school. You've got your first grade teacher, you've got your second grade teacher. Once you get into like middle school and high school, now a lot of times you've got two teachers in each class. So it's not even an assistant; they're like co-teachers. And then if any kids out there like have ADD or ADHD or they're on the spectrum or something, and they have an IEP out there, now you're talking about, the counselors and even therapists. So these are important people in your kids' lives. So I will say don't kind of forget about those too.
Yeah, and that's the emphasis that we want to do is the way to be able to do that without stretching yourself thin. Having
Exactly.
everyone be appreciated and know that they appreciate you without having to stretch yourself too thin. One of the things is that I always try to live by is the idea of I got to take care of myself first before I can take care of anyone else.
Mhm.
And so the idea of having those thoughtful words, those letters, just to show the appreciation and know that I'm thinking about them. Like you said, for everybody who's involved, once again, in middle school and high school, you're talking 4 or 5 teachers, 6 teachers, depending on the day. It can get very overwhelming, but at the very least, you have something that you can at least show that you were thinking about them going on. Next, we're going to touch it back to Levon.
All right. So this is kind of self-explanatory here. Setting aside those funds. Now you got to start uh, thinking about the actual money aspect of it. So we've got a couple different columns here. So the first one, well, I'll start with the second one, the Christmas a Holiday Club. Now, I don't know if they still call it Christmas clubs, but there was always this concept of setting aside a certain amount of funds from your paycheck throughout the year. So that when the holidays come, again, whenever you celebrate those holidays, so when those holidays come, you do have something aside. And again, you can call your banks up with that. I'm sure they have like a special accounts that you can set up, and then of course the revolving or the sinking funds for your daily living. You still, like you were saying before, Kevin, life goes on. I mean, things are still happening. Medical bills are still coming up. For me, last year, I had the hot water heater went. And that one is the next column. In big red, you're going to see emergency funds. Do not touch those emergency funds. Those are for literally for something that comes up. Doesn't have to be catastrophic because it was something big. A car expense, something happens with your car, you need car repairs, you need that to get back and forth to work. That should be completely separate. That should have nothing to do with any of the holiday funds. Um, that should be like an absolute last resort. And even then, do you really need it as a last resort when you're talking about seasonal things like holidays and whatnot? Definitely do not touch those. And
Exactly.
again, check with your bank. See what they offer as far as like those high yield savings accounts. You want it somewhat liquid too. You do want to pull them out whenever you can. So
So
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, sorry. I also used to work at a bank too. So,
Mhm.
one thing you can always do is you can have a separate account. You can have this emergency fund account be completely separate from where you normally bank.
Sure.
So it's still going to be liquid. You'll still have access to it. But you have that initial friction that requires you to, oh, if I'm gonna impulse buy this, I have to transfer it over from my savings account, wait 2 to 3 business days for it to get to my other account, and then be able to spend it. And at that point, you'll realize, like, okay, like you said, do I really need it? I also just want to touch on Rebecca. She said that she does bake and send out goodie plates for special people in her life.
Nice.
That's a great way of also appreciating, especially if you have other skills like that.
Yeah. Who doesn't like baked goods?
Exactly.
All right. And so now, of course, you want to track everything. You want to keep an eye on everything. Make sure you're not going beyond whatever your budget was that you would set up initially. Like I said again, it's great to organize everything, but you do have to keep an eye on things. Make sure you're not going over wherever you are supposed to go over, and make sure your absolute needs are covered first. Everybody, I think, has like their own special thing. I mean, you can create a budget as far as like what money is going where in my head, and I think maybe you do it, Kevin, too, and I think a lot of people do this. You got the really big ones: the mortgage, car payment, $500 for utilities. Just I kind of throw that out there, and then miscellaneous. I know that every month I'm going to need that, and then you're going to track everything else too, as long as is with tracking that. And a good way to do that, the debit cards or cash. Keep all the receipts. I know it's a pain in the neck, but keep all those receipts. and also some of those credit card payments. It is easy to track. We say don't overdo the credit cards, but it is easy on those online accounts to track where that money's going. Some are better than others. My Discover card has puts things in different categories. Car expenses, miscellaneous. My other Visa card, everything is just literally by the date, but it is easy to kind of just see where everything's going. Never lose track of that. I check every day, basically every day to see where that money's going. Because I got to tell you something, when you have teenagers, that money could be going places that you don't even know about, for like gaming and things like that. You want to keep track on what's going on and not lose that. And if you do need any kind of help with that, as that bottom one says, the budgeting, we do have a new personal finance app that we came up with early this year. It's called Credit You. So definitely go to credityou.org and check that out. It's for the phone. It's nice and handy to kind of track everything and stay on budget. That's key as well.
Yeah, one of the
Um,
biggest things with that app too that I find very interesting is the fact that there are things on there that a lot of people don't think about. Like how much is it's broken down per month in regards to, oh, how much do you spend on this item per month? And you sit there and you're like, wait a minute, how much do I spend on this per month or per week? And then you start doing the calculations and things start catching up real quick to you, and you're like, oh, okay, that's where my money's going. Like you said, with the gaming and everything like that.
And I noticed that Felicity too also says I make candied pecans and send them out in nice containers. Okay, so we are in Auburndale. If you guys have any extras, things like that, if you're local to Massachusetts, I'd love to get some of these baked goods and everything else that goes along with it. So just to recap, real quick, decide on make your budget realistic. We always talk about in the counseling session, reasonable and realistic. No pie in the sky. Just stick to what you're going to be doing. Again, from what we said in the beginning, pick all the people that's going to be in your list. Just stick to that. Alternative gift ideas. Again, this goes to the whole thing that Kevin was talking about, going back to the whole spirit of the holidays. What else can we do to create memories? Because it really is all about memories. I remember one year that I think a lot of cinemas do this now, where like they have like a sing-along thing for Sound of Music, and we did that a few years ago with my son. He still talks about it, just going in there with a whole theater full of people and just singing along with it. They've got the subtitles on the bottom with the bouncing ball, and it was kind of cute. So again, that was very cheap, a couple bucks to get in, but he still talks about it, and we all love that movie. So. Um, plan, start early, stick to that list, and start setting aside that money, preferably throughout the year. But if not, start now. Start now so you're not overwhelmed at the end of it. So that when January comes, you're not looking at it like, and again, track everything. Because the last thing you want to, it's going to be stressful paying all those bills. It's even worse when it's a big surprise. So definitely track everything and set it aside. And if you are ever feeling overwhelmed, like it says there, give us a call. This is what we do all day long. Our hours, we're here until 10:30 p.m. Eastern time, Monday through Thursdays. We're here Saturdays as well, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Give us a call. We can create a budget for you and see what's going on if you do need any help out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you, gentlemen. So, yeah, if you guys like what you've heard today, please check out the webinars that we got coming up in our series. Tuesday, October 24th at 11 a.m., we have Boost Your Credit IQ, unlocking the basics of your financial power. And then Thursday, November 21st at 1 p.m., we have Financial Harmony, balancing budgets across 3 generations.
I'll definitely be
So
listening to that one. I'm one of those guys.
who knows? Maybe one of us will be in attendance to one of those or presenting.
Who knows?
No one knows. And then, of course, let us know how we did. As a nonprofit, we greatly appreciate feedback. Um, we love it. Everyone thinks like, they're not going to listen. We listen. I think Levon and Kevin can agree. I think one of the reasons that we came up with Credit You and launched it earlier this year is because we had just a floodgate of people saying, what you guys do is great, but if you can make what you do in an app form, that would be amazing. Um, so yeah, feedback is awesome. I'm gonna kick it up to if anybody has any questions, we'll
Well, in terms of feedback, looks like Rebecca has some. She goes caroling and makes homemade jams and breads that she gives to friends and family. Yeah, keep them coming. We're in Massachusetts. Is our address
Yeah.
there? Love to
Yeah,
have that
so
extra. And
for
then
these. Yeah, or
Ernie's
needs.
mentioned something too about I'm a FSS program manager. I don't know what Kyle. Do you know what FSS is?
I unfortunately do not. Um, we are hosting a lot more events. If you want to get in touch with us, we will be emailing you some stuff afterwards. Marika, who usually handles these webinars, she was unable to attend this one, so I stepped in for her. So we
Mm.
could definitely get the two of you guys talking because we love to do things, and we're always looking to do more. Like I said, I've been here 13 years this Halloween, and I'll never forget years ago we used to do career days at high schools. That was one of my the best days of working here is going to these career days and teaching kids about budgeting because I think those of us that are parents can agree like schools need to go back to teaching kids what a credit card is, what a budget is, and all that good stuff.
Kyle, yeah, Jessica just said that it's for Section 8 housing, FFS, family self-sufficiency
I
from
believe we,
HUD.
yeah, I believe we do stuff in regards to
I mean,
that.
we have a housing
That's
department.
different. That's different
That
though.
is different. Yeah, it's not
That is very
specifically
different.
that.
So
Yeah,
this,
that is different.
and then Jen Jonas just wants us to send the app in the chat.
Try to pull that up for you guys.
Yeah, you
Oh,
had the color on the app that was kind of like
Felicity
got
too.
lost with the with the background.
Yeah. Um.
fantastic. I'm going to see if I
And I
can go
think
away.
Felicity did share that app. Yep, creditu.org.
Let's see if this will make it a hyperlink. Ah, there we go.
Yeah,
Perfect.
now you got it.
Now you can click on it.
Makes it easier. Any other questions or comments?
Oh, I have a comment. Die Hard's a Christmas movie.
Oh yeah,
There, I said it.
You
we
guys are
said it.
firmly on that side, huh?
I'm firmly on
There,
that side.
there it is.
So Die Hard's a Christmas movie, like Jaws is a Fourth of July movie. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see no problem with these assessments.
I mean, like I said earlier when before the started, like Halloween's my favorite holiday. Not just
Mhm.
because that's when I started working here. I just love spooky season.
Do you
Spooky,
decorate the
scary
outside of the house
skeletons.
too?
Yeah, yeah. Much to the chagrin of my wife, I definitely do. And those that come into my office, I decorate the office as well. Haven't started yet.
That I've got to see. All right, so late October I'll swing by.
Yeah, if you remember last year, I was a serial killer, so I had a bunch of cereal in my office that were murdered. So I had like a
Very
bag of,
unique. I've never seen
I,
that before.
yeah, I had like a box of Frosted Flakes scattered around the floor and stuff. And then I realized I had to clean it up because that's how you get ants.
That's true. Oh, Rebecca's saying that she missed the first part of the webinar.
Yep,
Are we going to be
anybody.
sending it out? Go ahead, Kyle.
Yep, anybody who attended will be getting the webinar out. It will be sent out to you guys, so you don't have to worry about that. I do know that we also posted on our social media, so you guys can rewatch this at any time. So yeah, you guys will definitely get that. No worries.
Okay, and I do notice that those jams and breads, those are in Vegas, for Rebecca had said. So
Very
uh,
important for
I
Levon.
think we should go out to Vegas and do some of these webinars. I'm sure they need some money management out there too. Don't gamble. There's your advice right there.
Yep. So if they were like, "Oh yeah, it's in Oregon," he's like, "I don't know," but here in Vegas, he's like, "Hey, set it up." Awesome.
There we go.
All right, we'll give it just like another minute or two to see if anyone has any other
Mhm.
chats or any other questions. I'll be more than happy to answer
Oh,
those.
Rebecca was also asking if we're doing this anytime again soon. You want to go back a couple of slides for the next couple of webinars?
We do have one for not specifically this topic, but we do have one for boosting your financial IQ coming up in no October, I believe, end of October, and then in November we have the three generations that will also be available, like budgeting across three generations.
Mhm.
Yep, there you go. I'll leave that right there. That's
Oh,
what we got.
beautiful.
Yep,
Beautiful.
that's what we got coming up. And then, earlier when we mentioned, feedback, how we love it. A lot of times the topics that we do these webinars are come from you guys. So if there's a topic that you guys feel really passionate about, let us know and we'll make it happen.
Kevin, there's a question for you. What is Matrix Specialist?
So I work both what Levon does. I do have done the counseling. You're welcome, Rebecca. You did say thank you twice, and I do appreciate that. Um, and so the front end of being the counselor and being able to answer the questions, go through the budgeting, see what we can do to help out, and also be able to do the back end work where once you're in the program, asking if you have any questions about the account, how things are going throughout the debt management program. That's those are the questions that I answer as well. So I do a little bit of both in regards to that.
And sometimes, Kevin, I'll tell folks who ask me about the whole client services group, the Matrix group, what do they do? And I present you guys as basically you manage the accounts once they get into the program. Is that kind of an accurate thing?
Yeah, pretty much. We
Yeah.
do management.
You get
We do
granular
managing.
is what you do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all the itty bitty stuff is where
Mm.
we come in.
Yep.
Nice. And I see Felicity's shared a link of all their upcoming webinars. Thank you for that, Felicity.
I got a bit of a trivia for you guys.
Oh,
Do you know I was talking to a an owner of a pizza place last year, and I said, what's the biggest night for you guys? Because I know like Chinese restaurants, I think it's like Christmas Eve and also New Year's. What do you think is the biggest night for pizza places?
biggest night.
Yeah,
The day
the
before
busy
things,
the busy busiest night.
the day before Thanksgiving.
Oh, you got it. You got it, my
Yeah,
friend. Yeah,
probably.
the way
That
he
makes sense.
explained it made perfect sense. He said, "Look, everybody's busy cooking for the next day. They don't want to cook for that night, so they all
Yeah.
order out." So he's like, "We're just swamped day before the night before Thanksgiving."
Yeah, my
Very good, Kyle.
local pizza shop, which is right down the street from me, they do a Thanksgiving pizza every year. So instead of the pasta sauce, it's like gravy, mashed potatoes, cranberry. I can't think about it now because
Yummy.
I'm too fat as it is.
It only comes around once a year, but then again, we say that for everything.
Right?
There's a lot of things that come around once a year.
That is true. Thank you, Ernice, for coming over and watching our webinar as well.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone who's here. We'll just give it just again another few seconds, see if there's any last minute chats that want to come in, any questions.
Anybody who
Other,
agrees that Jaws is a Fourth of July movie and Die Hard is a Christmas movie, absolutely put that in the chat.
but in that same regards, then wouldn't the Tim Burton Batman Returns be a Christmas movie? I mean, it
That's
does take
beyond my
place.
scope. I have no idea.
All right,
No.
it would.
All I know is the greatest Christmas movie is Christmas Story with Ralphie.
Complete silence.
Oh, you're looking at me like, what are you talking about?
No, I know the movie. I'm just because we used to live in the days where cable and it was on 24/7. You
Yeah.
always had that one relative who wouldn't
Oh,
change
like
the
It's a
channel.
Wonderful Life. Yeah.
It would just
Yeah.
leave it on. So I'm kind
Yeah.
of I'm done with Ralphie.
Oh, you're done with Ralphie.
Are you more done with Ralphie or are you more done with Mariah Carey?
It's
I'm done
equal.
with her now.
It's equal. My house. We're a big Disney family, so it all boils down to we like the clay animation, like the Year Without a Santa Claus, Santa
Mhm.
Claus Coming to Town, Rudolph, like those.
Yeah, those are good ones.
While the Muppet Christmas Carol CD is rocking in the background while we're decorating.
Happy holidays to you as well, Melissa.
Yeah, Melissa,
Appreciate that.
and a Happy New Year.
Thank you. Alrighty. Well, I think that's going to do it for us. Again, my name is Kyle,
Bye, Ernest.
Levon, Kevin. You guys,
Hello.
thank you guys so much for joining me today. And can't wait to do it again.
All right.
Have a
Bye,
good night,
guys.
guys.